Hello everyone, welcome to Thyros Web Development Tips and Tutorials. Today is webinar number 3. The first webinar went on Google Hangouts, and then a lot of people started asking me, can we find some recording somewhere? So the webinar number 2 and 3 I decided to go YouTube live. So here I am, and today's topic is Introduction to Tailwind CSS. And Tailwind is, something that came into my life, and then I feel like everything changed. I found my development happening so much faster, and I could build beautiful UIs without going into CSS at all. If you are here, you might have heard of Tailwind somewhere, have no clue, maybe you're beginning with it, or you don't know how to set up, or for some reason you're not able to move ahead, or you're really excited to get started with. Now this is the time for you for the next 45 minutes to really understand what Tailwind is, how to make the best use of it, right? So let's get started. These are the topics I would be covering today. This will be the flow. First, I'll talk about what is Tailwind CSS. Next, let's try out a little bit, because unless you get the feel of it, you will not want to go ahead, right? Then comes the installation and setup. This is where some people find it a little difficult to start with, but I'll show you how to do the easiest way. Then responsive design with Tailwind. Here's the real power. This is where the real power of Tailwind is experienced. I'll show you that. And then comes some customization, because a lot of people say that, I'm not comfortable with the styles that Tailwind gives. Great, so customize it. And last is some FAQs plus your questions as well. If you have some questions, you can always send it in the live chat below, and I will take them towards the end. So let's start with what is Tailwind CSS. Now Tailwind has this beautiful website. Their latest website is so much fun that I spent almost 45 minutes last night going through them and really appreciating it. So here it says rapidly build modern websites without ever leaving your HTML. Now that is really the best part about Tailwind. You don't even have to go to CSS probably 90% of the time. Everything can be done in your HTML exactly the way they have shown it here. If you refresh the site, yeah, you can see that this is normal HTML, nothing new in it. But what about these classes? They are adding some classes, right? Like text LG, font semi-bold, font medium, text cyan 600, text gray 500. This is what utility first CSS is. These are the utility classes. So normally what you would do is, if you like to design a card like this, you would probably name it card, or testimonials card, and then within it you go and name it testimonials card image, testimonials card paragraph, testimonials card span, and so on. And your CSS gets so very bulky. You might have just 3 of these cards on your entire site, but you will have added so much CSS for just that bit of HTML. Here you can do the same thing with only few lines, few classes which you are adding. So here it's actually very readable. BG gray 100 is obviously background color gray, and 100 is like the lighter shade. So BG gray 200 will be a slightly darker shade. And here if you come PT6, yes, this is not very obvious at first, but it's padding top 6, and 6 doesn't mean 6 pixels or 6 EM. It has a particular scale in Tailwind, but very soon you will get used to that. These are the class names that you will start adding to each of your elements, and you will end up with something as beautiful as this with just this much. Yes, that's all it is. You never have to go into CSS. Now, if you think, how on earth do I remember so many names like PT6? I already take time to remember CSS names and property names, and now I also have to remember this. It's actually not so complicated, and at the same time there are Visual Studio Code extensions that help you auto-complete these classes. So you don't have to remember them. You probably have to have a vague idea, and then you can always look it up in the search. Now let me show you how to start with Tailwind, or if you want to just play with it, if you want to just experiment it first even before installing it, there is something called play.tailwindcss.com, and this is your playground. You can put your HTML and Tailwind classes and see what it looks like. Now the first time when you look at this, definitely you will be overwhelmed, okay, because you know, it's not just HTML the way you see. You might even find it a little ugly. You might feel this is not what I want to do, but trust me, it's just for a while that you will feel like this. Let me actually remove almost everything that's here because I want to show you from scratch. So I will remove this background first. I'll want to leave this white card as it is, and I'll remove everything else until here. So that's all. We just have this now. Don't even worry about these classes. I'll explain in a while. So let's say we have a heading which is welcome to Tailwind CSS, and you see that generally H1 increases the font size, but Tailwind has, you know, it normalizes it, and H1 has no font size by default. But we can add a class, and the moment you add a class, you can see that you have these many options for the size. Text XS, which is extremely small, and then small, and then base is the normal base font size. Then comes text LG, XL, 2XL, 3XL, 4XL, 5XL, and so on. Okay, so let's stick to 3XL for this one. And for a bold font, you will have to use font bold, or you can even use semi bold. And you can have a color text. You can see that there are so many colors here. Yeah, you can see as it changing as in when I hover to it: light blue, cyan, pink, purple, indigo, and so on. So let's just use a nice indigo, text indigo 600. Don't you see how beautiful it already looks? Let's add some paragraph. So utility first CSS to build awesome websites without ever leaving your HTML. Without ever leaving your HTML. Now let's add some classes to it. I wanted slightly a bigger font size, so I go to text LG, and then I want to add a margin top or a padding top. You can use anything. So I do MT, that is margin top, and you can see that 0 is 0 pixels, 1 is 0.25 rem. You can see it right there, you know, and you can decide maybe I'll use MT2 here. Okay, that looks great. If you want to adjust the line height, the class is leading. Okay, it takes enough practice for you to understand what, if you just use it 2-3 times, you will know that this is the class name for it. And here you can choose leading tight, snug. I'll choose snug here. We have a paragraph. Let me add a link. So a href, and I'll say get started. I want it to look like a button. So here, as you see, if you're used to something like Bootstrap or Bulma, Tailwind CSS is entirely different. Bootstrap gives you a BTN, BTN primary and BTN danger. Those are already there. And if you want to build fast websites and you don't want to customize your look much, then yes, Bootstrap is the way to go. But a lot of times all the Bootstrap websites start looking similar. You can say that is a Bootstrap website once you look into it, right? That's not what we want. That's why Tailwind is so flexible. And I'll also show you how you can change it. That's right there on the website. I'll show that to you. So now, as you see, I've added a link, and even if I add something like BTN, it doesn't get styled like a button. You have to do it from scratch, but you can do it so fast. Say for example, I want to give it a BG indigo 600, and then text white, of course, I want to give a px, which is horizontal padding, that is left and right of say px4 or px6, and then py2, obviously a margin top of say 4 or something, and that's not working because a is not a, you need to add an inline block to it, which is display inline block. Let's also add rounded corners, which is very easy in Tailwind. Again, you just say rounded, small, medium, large. So large looks like this. And to add a hover state to this button, okay, you don't have to go into CSS and say button hover. You can just put the same thing here, hover, and just say BG indigo maybe 800, and that's it. You see? Okay, it took purple, sorry, indigo 800. Yeah, that's as simple as that. Do you see how beautiful this looks? Of course, if I just add, oh, I'm so sorry, I just want to add this anti-alias because the font looks much better with this, and I want the entire text to be gray 800 because total black looks kind of odd. This is it. Now, you want to reduce the padding here. This is where it says, now I'll also explain what is this SM, but instead of P20 you can do P16 and or even P12, and that reduces the padding. This is great. If you want to save this particular design that you just made, you can click on share, and this saves it as a separate link for you. You can copy this, you can share it ahead with whoever you want, and then they can play along with this. Now we have tried it out. I hope you really like Tailwind. Now you're ready to install it in your project. So let's see how to do that. Now we saw what is Tailwind CSS, we tried it out, it looks great. I want to install and I want to set it up and see how it works in my project. So let's open terminal, and yeah, here I want to go into my desktop folder and create a new folder, saying Tailwind demo, and within Tailwind demo, let me go into Tailwind demo. Yes, here I am. I want to open this in Visual Studio Code. So the shortcut is code, the command is code and dot. It opens up this in VS Code. Here it is. Now I want to run a new terminal right within Visual Studio Code. So we have a brand new project, and here I'm going to use npm to install Tailwind. Now if you don't know what is npm, all you need to do is just go and search on Google how to download Node and npm, and it's just one package that you need to install, and then Node and npm will be installed. So just follow the instructions, and here we're going to initialize a new project by saying npm init -y. -y is to say yes to all the default options, and enter. What this does is it creates a package.json file. Don't worry if you don't understand any of this, it's just the basic configuration of this project. Okay, so right now we just initialized a new project and did not install Tailwind yet. To install Tailwind, you need to say npm install Tailwind CSS. And this might take just a few seconds. It's already installed, and immediately you can see that the dependency Tailwind CSS is added, and which is the latest version 2.0.1, which has a lot of amazing features compared to the previous version, and we have this in our project right now. Now if we need to customize Tailwind, which we probably will in the future, you also need to do npx Tailwind CSS init, so which generates a tailwind.config JS, which we can find it here. It's just the basic structure. You don't have to do anything with it right now, just keep it as it is. Right now we have not created index.html, we have not created styles.css, so let's do that immediately. I will create a new folder which is public. Now all my code actually goes within this folder which is available. So within this comes my index.html as well as styles.css. Okay, so index.html, let me do this, and it's just a demo, and I want to link it to the style sheet, styles.css. Now remember, you will actually, because you're using Tailwind, you will actually not edit this file directly. We are not going to add styles into this. Instead, we will create another folder, not within public, sorry, outside of it, another folder which is our source, within which comes styles.css. Now this is the actual file that you will be editing. You can close this up. Tailwind, what it does is whatever styles we put in here, apart from the ones provided by Tailwind, if you want to add additional styles, we put all of that here, and when we build using Tailwind, it puts the actual styles into public folder. So just close this right now and go to Tailwind website, where you can go into documentation. The reason I didn't go into this first and go to installation is because you might find it quite confusing. You just have to follow what I did just now, and then come down here, scroll down, copy these things into your styles.css in the source folder that we just saw. So that is here. Just paste it here. Now what I said is, Tailwind builds it. You actually have to give it a command for Tailwind to be able to do that. So in your package.json, remove this scripts, and we want to add a new script which is the build script. So when you say npm build this for me, you're actually telling Tailwind CSS build, and the file that I want you to take is within the source styles.css, and give me an output into public slash, again this is public slash styles.css. Now I just need to add this. I've just added this build script. All I need to do is now say npm run build. Let's see what happens. So it's building source. Yes, great. So it's finished. And now if we click on this, we can see that by adding just these 3 lines, all we did is add these 3 lines, that is, it has some base components and utilities of Tailwind. It has taken this and built it into this huge CSS file. It is literally very, very huge. I'll also tell you how to minimize this, so don't worry about that. You don't have to look into this file at all. All you need to focus on is the file in the source folder. I just wanted to show it to you that Tailwind has all of these files, which has normalizing files and all the utility classes that we use. So close it again, and let's actually add something into the body. I would want to copy whatever we saw in the playground, right, in the play. So let me copy this exact same stuff, put it inside. Okay, and now let's see if we'll have to do a, I don't think we have to do a build, it's already done. Yeah, we just have to see what this looks like in the website. I am using something called as live server. You can directly open up index.html, but this is very helpful. You can install this using npm. I'll just say live server public. So this will open up my index.html, which it has done so beautifully. You can see that this gets updated whenever you update your code. This is what we saw, right? So if you want to change this to learn more, and then if you want to see, it has already changed. So we have our Tailwind installed, and if you just type in anything like font semi bold, or uppercase, you want all of this to be in uppercase. How do we do that? I think it's not suggesting, but there is an uppercase, I believe. Yeah, so you see that, this is an uppercase. You can use the extension for Visual Studio Code. I think I'm not using the latest one, which is why it's not suggesting, but otherwise you have it set up right now. All you need to do is continue to build great websites here. But you notice one thing, right? I don't know if you noticed, but the size of this styles.css is 3.74 MB, and that's huge. All we did was just have a card in our HTML file, but the size is really huge. Now obviously there is a way to reduce the file size, and Tailwind says that it can reduce it to very tiny. So let's see how to do that. To do that, you have to go back to tailwind.config.js. It has already something called as purge. Now in this path, you need to mention the files wherever you have your Tailwind classes mentioned. So we will have it inside public/star.html. That's where we have all our files, right? It could be any other file. If you are using Laravel, you could add your blade files into this and so on. So let's save this, because you have to tell Tailwind where are your files, where you're using the Tailwind classes. And now you have to go back to package.json, and this is our build script. Let's also add a production script. So when you're putting this up on your server is when you need to really reduce the file size of styles.css and upload, right? So this is the same thing. You just have to copy the same thing and paste it here. But before this, you have to set the node environment to production. And Tailwind knows that it's in production now, and if you type npm run prod, it will reduce the file size. Let's see that. I'll open a new terminal and I'll say npm run prod. It says building again. Let's see. Oh, this is wonderful. Now you can see that the size is just 12 KB. Where was 3.7 MB and where is 12.76 KB? That's how small the styles.css have become now. You can also open it and check that it just has about 700 lines of code. If you feel even this is bigger, even for a lot of large projects, I don't think the size goes up beyond 30-40 KB, which is really amazing. So you don't have to worry about it at all. Every time you just have to add the script and run the production code, and it compresses it for you to a very tiny size. Okay, now let's see what else we have here. So the installation is done, the setup is done, you know how to run it for production, you know all of that. Let's see responsive design with Tailwind, for which I would like to go to Tailwind website itself and just scroll down further. Yes, and it says responsive everything. Now it's really, this is the best example. That's why I didn't want to create anything new. They have given the best example here. Now this is your mobile site. This is what a card looks like on mobile. Now just slowly increase this, and you will notice that probably in mobile landscape mode, maybe this is what it appears. Do you notice? It's so much better. And then increase it, and this is probably a tablet, and you can see 2 more images appearing here, and you can go up to desktop size, and this is what it looks like. If you reduce this to this, now you see some styles highlighted here, some classes highlighted here, right? And then you can see that it's SM:, SM:, that means after a particular breakpoint, that is, Tailwind is mobile first. So you first build for mobile, and here none of those styles, none of those classes are highlighted. So you first take a mobile site and you build it the way you want it to look on a mobile. After that, now you want to add some styles at this particular breakpoint. This is when you add SM:. So anything above this breakpoint you will have to make the grid columns too. So you can see 2 columns here. You see that the padding has increased. There's no padding for mobile site, but here there's a padding because you need some padding here, etc, etc. And then when you increase it further, let's say here, yeah, now this is MD, that is, you might have come across this in Bootstrap as well if you've used Bootstrap. XS, SM, MD, LG, XL, these are the common ones used. So here at this point we have increased the padding further to PY16 and so on, and this becomes MD inline, etc, etc. And these 2 images that we just saw appearing were first hidden. So by default they were hidden, but above the breakpoint of MD they are block. Now if you reduce this, you can notice that yes, so it was hidden and you just have to put MD block. So for any responsive functionality, you don't have to use media queries saying at media screen width so and so, minimum width. None of that is required. You just have to put MD colon LG colon and put the styles right here, and it's done within a few characters of code. That's how powerful Tailwind is when it comes to responsiveness. I could show you more examples, but I think it's quite easy actually. You can try it out on your own, and that's when you'll really experience it. Coming to the next one, responsive design. You saw right from the website, it's so amazingly done. Customization. Now when I started with Tailwind also, I was like, I tried using H20, H21 or something. They have H, okay, let me actually show it to you. If you go to the documentation and search for anything, so I want to search for height, and you see these are the classes available: H0, H.5, H1, H2, H3, and initially it increments with small increments, and you'll see that 3.5, and then there is no 4.5 because you won't adjust so much, right? You'll really not use 1.1 REM or something. After a certain point you can see 4, 5, 6, 7 and so on, and then there is no H15 again because you will not do such minor adjustments, and still you can do if you customize it. But you will see that it has all these, and let's say you want something like H62, it can be done. You want something like H22 where you want 5.5 REM. Let's test it out. What you need to do when you want a custom class is you have to go to this config file. You saw the tailwind.config.js, right, which is here. Yeah, it's exactly this. And you go into extend. You can add it directly here if you're changing everything. Like let's say you're changing all the colors. You don't need that purple, you don't need that green, you don't need that red. Then you have to add all of them, and it's a whole new theme. But if you want all the Tailwind styles plus you want to extend something, you're just wanting to add another height here, right? You want to use all of these classes plus you want to add a H22. So you come here and in this config file and just here add height and say H22. Don't worry about this, it will go in a moment, and it's 5.5 REM, right? Now let's see, I save this, yeah, it's processing, and then I come back to HTML. Just give it some time, it's loading. Let me add a div here meanwhile. Class is H22 and then BG, pink 300 or something. This should have appeared. Okay, let me add it outside of this. And why is this not appearing? Let me check, let me inspect element. Where is my div? Okay, it's probably because of the flex properties. Okay, let me remove this from here and I'll add it within this. Okay, this should appear. Interesting. Where did I add it? I added it right after the button, and within this. Okay. So let me go back to config. Something must be wrong with this, which, oh sorry, I don't have to do h-22, very sorry. I just have to do 22 and save it, come back to HTML. I hope this works, because this is really how I do it. If it's not working, again it's because of the single quotes. Is that not how it's done? Okay. Anyway, but really this has to work. It just worked a while ago. You know how all of these things happen. Only when I have to live stream, this doesn't work. But don't worry, this is exactly how you, now it's up here. Okay, sorry, it was processing all this while. So now you see that, you know, you inspect element and you actually see that the height is 5.5 rem. We did not have a h22 class, but we were able to add it. So this is how you can customize everything, you know, min height, your colors, you can add custom colors, custom fonts, custom everything, and completely customize Tailwind the way you know you want, and enjoy the power of utility first CSS using Tailwind, even if you don't like the beautiful you know, colors and beautiful theme that they have already provided. That's how well you can do this. So last but not the least, I would like to you know, touch upon some FAQs. I also had a few questions when I wanted to start with Tailwind. So I will, you know, basically talk about 2 questions and then later look into the comments and see if there are any questions. I will answer them. So this is the time for you to type in your questions if you have any, because I'm coming to the close of the session. The first question that I had was, you know, isn't this like cluttering your HTML? HTML is supposed to have the least number of classes and it's supposed to be readable. Isn't Tailwind making it less readable? The answer is no, it's not making it less readable. It's actually making it more readable. So when you want to debug something, or when you want to add a new card, or when you want to add a new paragraph to your, let's say, already existing you know, code, or you want to understand what exactly is happening, you go into the HTML, and then let's say there is some particular you know, block already that you want to understand how it's working. Now you always have to go and search for that class name in your CSS file and see what exactly is happening. Yes, you might use some you know, VS Code extensions to do that, but you have to go into another file, and there might be multiple classes. You have to go to each of them, and you know, say card blue really might not be so readable as BG blue 300 is. So you know that the background blue is 300, and then there's a padding, there's a margin, all of those. So actually it's Tailwind is making your HTML more readable with whomever you're sharing it. You just have to get started with it for a while and a little practice, and it actually makes everything very fast. Now the second question I had is, how about you know, scalability? Is it really scalable? Is Tailwind only for small projects, or is Tailwind only for you know, bringing out your mockups or something very quickly? No, it is very, very, very scalable. So you can extract components if you're using Vue or React or anything. I can actually, you know, show that part of you know, Tailwind. So where is that? Tiny introduction, responsive, hover. Yeah, worried about duplication? No, don't be. So here it shows that, let's say we are duplicating the styles. If you feel that you're to add 3 of these items like these, you might be putting you know, text large and then text light for this, and so. You don't have to do that. If you're using React, this is what it is. It really shows you that, you know, in your list item.js, you have to put this only once. This is a component. We have extracted this component, and then we use this 3 times. So if you want to change something, let's say you don't want padding 4, you want padding 5, you have to change it in only one place. So this is the best practice. If you are not extracting it, then that's your problem, and not you know, really the Tailwind problem. It's the way you're not using the best practice. Now, or if you're using view, again, it's the same thing. If you're using blade in Laravel, then you have to just, this is how it is. List item is a separate blade file. Any change you want to make, you can make them here just once, and then all the cards will have it. So there is no duplication. You're not duplicating code if you can extract components and really do it the right way. That's about some questions I had, and they were answered. So I immediately jumped into Tailwind and I said, I'm doing this. I'm going to Tailwind for every single project of mine. I have never looked back after that, and I'm really happy to have been taking a webinar on Tailwind today. So that's about my questions. Let's see if any of you have any questions. Looks like nobody has any question, or I am not so sorry. I'm not able to view the chats, is it? Okay, so if you have any questions, you can always connect to me right here on my website shrutivalasa.com. I'll try to keep it up to date. Right now it's not up to date. I don't have the webinars showing up on my website, but you can see all the other stuff that I have done. On Twitter, yes, my DMs are open, so follow me at Shruti Valasa, and you can also follow this YouTube channel's updates, which is at Thyrus Official. You're right now on YouTube, so I don't have to say subscribe to this right now, and stay updated with all the webinars that are upcoming. Every Wednesday 6:30 p.m. IST will be a webinar from me mostly, so stay tuned for the next live webinar update, and till then, see you. Nice talking to you all. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you.